Hi guys, back again. Okay, today we're talking about conscious and subconscious. So let's make it simple, let's make it easy to understand, because I think there's a lot of confusion around it. The conscious is the part of the brain that you're aware of. You are thinking about what you want and what you want to eat and what you want to do, and it's the part of you that maybe wants to think about losing weight or getting a better job, or it's the part that thinks, that does the thinking. The subconscious is the rest of you. So if you think about it, it's the body, it's the emotions, it's the heart, it's all the cells in the body, it's this rest of you. So this conscious part is 5% of the whole part. The other part is 95%. So who do you think holds most of the power? The subconscious. Now the subconscious you're not always aware of. In the first 7 years, you were imbibing messages through the body that sits in the body. And that's why a lot of us can't remember the first 7 years that we were alive. Not because it was awful and dark sometimes, it's because we just don't have that mental cognitive ability to lay down memory. And so it's not in our memory bank, so to speak. That's why we only tend to remember things if they were quite big events, shocking events, maybe something. And this is why we hold the pain and the wounds in our bodies. This is why rationally, I talk to people all the time. I say, so rationally you're worthy, but do you feel worthy? No. So rationally you're intelligent, but do you feel intelligent? And so sometimes that's how I like to kind of make it simple for people to see that, yeah, rationally, you're a good person, you're doing the right thing, you're working hard, but do you feel like a good person? Do you feel worthy and deserving, loved and cared for? And that's the difference. Oh, but I know I am. Doesn't matter. If you know you are in your head but don't feel it in your heart, then what difference? It doesn't cut it. You see, your conscious mind is going this way, and your subconscious mind is going that way. And this is if you think about streams or rivers, this is a little piddly 5% stream coming down here, which is conscious, and the other big, huge wave of subconscious is going the other way. So you're actually at odds within your own psychic being. And so this is why I think therapy doesn't stick. Because therapy can be great. You can go and talk to someone, you feel validated, you feel connected, they hear you, they understand you, they give you a few tools, and you go away and you feel better. But it doesn't stick, because nothing's really changed, because you haven't addressed this great big 95% wave coming in opposite direction to the conscious mind. And so that's why we call it self-sabotage. We call it, why can I, how many diet, I want to lose weight, I want to go on a diet, I want to lose weight. 2-3 weeks in, we're done, and it's like, back to normal, because the subconscious is basically running the show. And you have to understand that if you want things to be different, you want to heal, then you have to understand that subconscious. You have to heal sometimes that subconscious and put the conscious and the subconscious going in the same direction. Well, that's power, because that's 100% of you now moving towards the same goal. This doesn't work. And so I just want to teach you very simply, very easy to understand, that you have to dig deep into that subconscious. Now that subconscious was laid down in the first 7 years of life, a lot of that, emotional wounds. So for example, I talk about if you're born in a seen and not heard generation, then I'm sorry, but you are going to have issues with worthiness, deserving, because what were you told? What did you see? Most of us got neglected, not seen, not heard, not understood. It was all, parents, whatever they say, this is what you have to do, and I'll tell you what to think, and I'll tell you what to feel, and I'll tell you what to do. And so we were very repressed in our, and that's why we have a lot of this pain, and we don't know why we do what we do sometimes. People, I work with a lot of people with addictions, and it's like, why do I keep going back to this? And I go, not because you're a bad person or even that stupid, because highly intelligent, incredibly beautiful people have struggles with addictions. It's because you're wounded, and those wounds have not been healed. And that's why my tagline is don't change, heal. And so if you think about healing, or even discovering, going to the deep dives of your subconscious. Now, a lot of people, they don't want to do that. It's like, oh God, you know, another therapist that wants to talk about the past. And the only reason we do that is because we know that if you don't heal the past, you will reenact it in the present. And so, yes, and it's not about having to go back to every awful thing that maybe you experienced or every negative emotional you had. It's about healing. This is the hero's journey. It's about healing that child within you. It's about listening, hearing, giving him a voice, helping him to know that he's not alone right now, because that boy or that girl is still in there struggling, feeling wounded and hurt and alone. So the hero's journey is you going in and rescuing that kid. Listening, holding, not mollycoddling. Oh, you poor baby, it was terrible what you went through. No, that's mollycoddling. But not dismissing either. It's somewhere in between that, where you are acknowledging, allowing, giving that part of you a safe space to be in. So when you are on, you know, you and your subconscious are in alignment, there's probably nothing you can't do, be or have. And so for me, it's always about healing you, because whatever's happening in the moment to trigger you or to bother you or to impact on you is just a way to go deeper into you. Because if you're being triggered, then this is something in you. We can point the finger of blame till we're blue in the face. Nothing's going to change. And so that's a victim. And this is why, as a child, you were a victim. A child, you were at the mercy of the people that looked after you. And there's a part of you that is still wanting to kind of point fingers of blame. But actually, it's not until you take responsibility and start owning this stuff, owning it, and kind of, if I want to make it really simple, own the fuck out of it and then surrender to it. Deeply surrender to the what is. Because yes, it happened, it was awful, maybe it wasn't awful, maybe you just didn't even realise. Maybe you're ignorant of the fact. Maybe you just feel like, oh, I had a great childhood. Well, maybe if you were brought up in the seen and not heard generation, you go a bit deeper and you probably were completely neglected. The biggest form of abuse. And I'm not blaming parents. They're just doing whatever they need to do to put food on the table and to actually give you a safe space to be in. But emotionally, psychologically, it probably wasn't a safe space, because you had to think the same as they did. You had to have the same values. You know, if they went to church, they wanted you to go to church. If they believed in something, they wanted, you know, if they were vegan, they wanted you to not eat meat. So they did their best, as I like to say, as I did my best, and sometimes I failed miserably. Because I wasn't really empathic, I wasn't in tune, I wasn't always listening. And I got a lot better as I grew into a more mature parent, and I think I'm doing a lot better now than I ever did when I was younger. But I was just doing what my mum did, you know, like what my dad did. And bless them, their post-war parents came out of that era where they were just trying to pay the bills and put food on the table, and they worked incredibly hard to do that. But sometimes their emotions weren't, they weren't able to manage their own emotions, and they would lash out, and sometimes they would just completely ignore me. So it's not because they're bad people, they're not, they're wonderful people, but that's all they knew, and that's all they, and there wasn't the awakening, the awareness, the consciousness that we have these days. Now we're all waking up to this shit. Well, now we have to wake up to our past and realise, yeah, it wasn't all goodness, light, and, you know, roses and lollipops. There was some hard things in there, but I love who I am now, so I can really appreciate what my parents did do for me. And they gave me a solid upbringing. You know, they stayed together, they were very solid as a couple, and they worked really hard. Now, I might have seen that and taken it a bit too far. I definitely think I was a bit of a workaholic at once upon a time. I was a little bit out of balance. I mean, really, it's about getting rid of that black and white, all or nothing. You know, just because I make mistakes and I struggle doesn't mean I'm a terrible person. I'm just a human being trying their best and sometimes failing miserably. So I just wanted to share why sometimes therapy doesn't stick, because you do have to change the basic fundamentals of what you were wired to believe growing up, because it comes through here, ends up in here. And so the first part of therapy that I do is, because if you want to change long term, you've got to change your basic wiring. If you don't, you will always kind of flip back into those old ways. I hope that makes sense. If you want me to talk more about that, please let me know. Thank you for listening. Bye for now. Bye.